Hey everyone, I'm Tim Kadlik, and today I just wanted to show you how to get started using the Snyk command line interface to secure your Node applications and make sure that you don't have any known security vulnerabilities that are being pulled into your application through the dependencies that you're using. So right here we have a sample to-do list application that we've created, and if we open this up in Sublime, it will see that it follows a fairly typical structure for a Node application. We have a package.json file, and inside the package.json file is where all of our dependencies are specified. Now, to make sure that any of these dependencies that they aren't bringing in security issues, we need to run Snyk against our project. So the first thing you're going to have to do is make sure that Snyk is actually installed. I can verify that by running Snyk-v, which gives me a version number back. If you do not have Snyk installed yet, you can run npm install -g Snyk, which will install the Snyk tooling globally on your machine so that you're able to use it with any of the Node projects that you might be building or doing work with. So with Snyk installed, the next thing that we want to do is we want to authenticate our Snyk account. This enables us to avoid any API rate limits, and it also enables Snyk to be able to continuously monitor our application for any newly exposed vulnerabilities. So we're going to run Snyk auth, and what that's going to do is that's going to fire up a browser window, and it's going to attempt to authenticate. Now, I'm not logged in. If you don't have an account, you can sign up at this point. I do have an account through my GitHub login address, so I'm going to click there. And now I get a message back saying the account has been authenticated and Snyk is ready to use. I can come back to this command line interface and I see that I get the exact same message here. So I'm all set to go. So the first thing I want to do against my project is I want to run Snyk test. Now, Snyk test is going to look at all of the different dependencies that I have installed on my machine for this project. And it's going to run this against an open source database that Snyk maintains to see if there are any known vulnerabilities that impact these dependencies. Now, in this case, you can see it found 15 vulnerabilities and 24 different paths to those 15 vulnerabilities. For each vulnerability that was found, I get a little bit of information. I get to see if it's a medium severity vulnerability, a low severity, or a high severity. What type of vulnerability is it? Regular expression denial of service, directory traversal, cross-site scripting. I get a link which gives me a little bit more information about the vulnerability on the Snyk website itself, including a description, any references related to that, and who credited for finding it, things like that. I get the path to that vulnerability. So in this case, this is the install path. So in this case, goof required tap, which required code-cov, which required request, which required hawk, which has the vulnerability inside of it. And I also get some information about, potentially upgrading to be able to fix the dependencies, or if there's no direct dependency upgrade that can fix the issue, it asks me to run Snyk wizard. So let's do that. Snyk wizard will be our next test, or our next command to run. So Snyk test checks for vulnerabilities, but it does not fix them. It just alerts us to what the issue is. Snyk wizard will attempt to let us walk through and determine what ones we want to fix and how. So for each vulnerability found, we get an option like this. In this case, it's talking about 3 vulnerabilities that were introduced through EJS. Again, we have the information if we need to, but it lets us choose how we want to fix and address these issues. We can upgrade EJS, which is potentially a breaking change. We could review the vulnerabilities separately. Maybe we want to patch a few of them or upgrade to fix a few of them and maybe leave 1 or 2 alone. In this case, since it's a potentially breaking change, let's have a look and just so we get an example. So I hit review them individually. So now it's going to break this down. So I've got this medium severity vulnerability. There's no patch available. We could upgrade, but it will potentially break. Or we could decide, that's too risky. We're going to ignore it. This means that Snyk will not alert us to this issue for the next 30 days. And then 30 days from now, it'll bring it back up. And hopefully by then there's, an upgrade available or something. Or we can just skip it altogether. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade it, even though that's a potentially error-breaking change. Now you'll see it skipped the next 2 vulnerabilities because they're fixed through that change that we already made. So we get that with each one of these. In this case, we're going to go ahead and upgrade, 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 and move on through and addressing each individual vulnerability as we go. Now, in a case of something like this, there's no upgrade available. However, there is a patch available. So we're going to go ahead and say that we would like that patch applied. And we're going to do that. Here we have no upgrade and no patch. So really the only course of action we have at the moment is to ignore it. So we're going to do that just so that Snyk doesn't alert us to that the next time we run Snyk test. And we're going to give a reason so that if anybody else on the team looks at our Snyk policy once this is done and says, well, why did we ignore this high severity vulnerability? They'll understand why. So we'll say no patch or upgrade available. And we're going to do that again. And I'll show you where this pops up in just a second. Great, so now we've walked through each of the vulnerabilities. So now Snyk gives us a couple options. The first is to add Snyk test to package.json to fail the test on newly disclosed vulnerabilities. We're gonna hit yes, and I'll show you what that does in a minute. And add Snyk protect as an installation hook to apply chosen patches on install. We're gonna go ahead and hit yes again, and I'll show you again in a second what that does. So now that we've gone through this, Snyk wizard is going to apply any of the patches that we've said that we want to use. It's going to update our package.json file to include the new versions for those packages we wanted upgraded. And it's going to create a Snyk policy file, which I'll show you in 1 second, that stores all the information about what we've chosen to patch and what we've chosen to ignore. And it's also going to take a snapshot of our project here and save it to our account online so that we can go here and we can also get just another different way of looking at this information. So if I pop back over here and let's open up the project again. So now you'll see that the package.json file has changed. You'll see there's actually these yellow dots indicate a line that is different. In the case of something like marked, where we said that we wanted to upgrade, the version that is specified in package.json has been upgraded. When we said that we wanted Snyk test and Snyk protect added to package.json, this is where it does it, is inside of the npm scripts section. So inside of scripts, you'll see that we now have a test command, and when we run npm test, it's going to automatically run Snyk test against our project. So if we're using the npm test hook in any continuous integration environment, we're automatically going to get Snyk to test and check against our database and see if there's any known issues. Snyk protect being added as a pre-publish hook means that when we go ahead and we install, we run npm install on our project. In fact, let's just show you, even though we already have everything installed. What it's going to do is once it kind of verifies and pulls all this stuff in that we need for the project, because we've added Snyk protect, it's going to create a hook on this. So once everything is installed, it's going to go ahead and it's going to run Snyk protect, which looks first against the database to find any issues, and then applies any changes that are specified inside of our Snyk policy file. So what this means, and you can see right there, it popped up that applied patches line right here. So what's nice about this is that as I move from machine to machine, or as my other team members install this application on their own machine and hit npm install, the Snyk patches and upgrades that I've already specified are going to come along with it. So I know that when it's distributed and other people are using it, those known vulnerabilities are going to be taken care of. So at that point, we've run Snyk test, we've run Snyk wizard to fix the issues, we have Snyk protect set up so that whenever we install the package, those patches and upgrades that we've specified are automatically applied to the project, making sure those vulnerabilities are taken care of. The last thing we want to make sure we have running is Snyk monitor. And this is that continuous monitoring I was mentioning. Whenever you run Snyk monitor, what that does is it's going to take a snapshot of the current state of your application, and it's going to store that snapshot up on the website for you to be able to view. So again, we've got a snapshot, same thing that we were kind of looking at before. But by having it monitor our application, you'll notice what happens now is we've enabled Snyk to let us know if there are newly disclosed vulnerabilities that pop up. We add new vulnerabilities to the database every single week. So let's say that, you know, a week from now, and you're vulnerability free now, but a week from now, a new vulnerability is disclosed that impacts our project. Snyk can now monitor our project, see that it impacts our dependency, and then send us an alert either via email or Slack or however we have that set up, so that as soon as it has been disclosed and put inside the database, we're able to fix it right away. So that's it. So at this point, we have used the Snyk command line interface to get some basic protection set up. We've used Snyk test, we've used Snyk protect, Snyk wizard, and Snyk auth and monitor to ensure that our application is vulnerability free now, and that any new vulnerabilities will be alerted to us as well. Thanks for watching.